Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Y'all got y'all thing on over there?
I'm gonna keep it off.
You ready?
If I have to
All right,
say
we're ready.
something, I'll flip it on.
This is March the 15th at 2022 at 6 p.m. and we're having a meeting of the Master Plan Review Committee. I'm going to call her to order. Ms. Sandy, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Sadler?
Present.
Ms. King?
Here.
Mr. Burns?
Here.
Mr. Kinchin?
Here.
Mr. Babcock? Mr. Morrison?
Yeah.
Ms. Dyson Norris?
Yes.
And Mr. Inman?
Here. Thank you.
Very good. Almost everybody.
Mr. Babcock texted me, said he's tied up in traffic, but he's supposed to be here, so. We're gonna go over old business first. We're not gonna go into all of the ordinances. All the ordinances were sent out by Miss Sandy last week for everybody to look at, and we found one error, and we got that corrected.
After all that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway, bring you up to speed. We went before the Livingston Parish Ordinance Committee 2 weeks ago, back last month, really in February, and had a sort of a public hearing about it, and most of the council members at that time had questions about some of the setbacks facing the highway, but they were okay with that. Then last Tuesday, the 8th, we went back before the ordinance committee again, and it didn't have a quorum, but basically John Washington had done a really good job of explaining the ordinance in detail. So anyway, at the parish council meeting, there was a motion made in a second to send these both of these ordinances on over to the full council for a public hearing on March 24th. So that's where we at. So I've spoken to most of the councilmen. There's two I haven't covered yet, but I think for the most part, most of them are okay with these ordinances. And I spoke to Mr. Randy DeLatte today, and he's okay with it, both of them. And I spoke to yesterday, or Monday, I spoke to a prominent engineer in the parish, and he's okay with both of them. He understands them. So as to why we need it, especially one on the turnaround on the residential lots. So this ordinance goes before the full council on the 24th. Do y'all have any questions about any of this ordinance here? Where we're going? So I think we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be meeting with the parish president before the 24th to bring him up to speed. So we don't want him to be blindsided by this ordinance, because he has to sign it, right, Miss Sandy?
Right.
So
It'll be effective 15 days from the date of adoption. So if it's adopted Thursday, you start counting your 15 days Friday.
15 days, is that after he signs it? Or that's 15 days after?
It's adopted at the council meeting. That's what the
That's
Home
on
Rule
the
Charter
24th.
says. Home Rule Charter says it's 15 days from the date of adoption. But he
So-
does need to sign it. But if he doesn't sign it, the Home Rule Charter says after 15 days, it's automatically effective if he doesn't sign it.
Anyway, I want to introduce a gentleman in the audience tonight, Mr. Tommy Martinez. Mr. Tommy went with us when we went to see Secretary of DOTD Sean Wilson, and he was there. And when me and Jason and Julie went, and I was explaining to Mr. Tommy earlier about something that Sean Wilson said, that about some building too close to the highways out in St. Tammany Parish, and he asked us to quit doing that in Livingston Parish. So we took it and run with it, and we worked really hard to put this ordinance together. I want to, before I go any further, I want to thank my wife, Melba. I would write the ordinance, some of it or whatever, and she'd type it and I'd correct it and she'd type it, and working together, she's my kind of like my secretary. You know, sometimes she gets aggravated with me. I don't know why. And I want to thank also Miss Julie Norris. Melba got through with it. I sent it over to Julie. And Julie would give me her honest opinion about things. She would add, delete, change, and made it better.
And we'd argue some.
Always better. She always made it better. But sometimes she got aggravated with me. I don't know why. But
It's hard to believe.
well, she's been Julie has really done a lot for this committee and this ordinance right here, and I want to let y'all know she's a hard-working lady.
She is.
So, anyway, any other questions about the ordinances?
I would like to say, just add that Mr. Tommy Martinez works with our senator's office.
Right.
So, I mean, that's important that we recognize Senator Kennedy's work too, and his support for what we've done in working with us.
You'll be there for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We haven't had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Kennedy. We met everybody but him so far.
Well, we got Tommy. So we
Well,
got, what more do we need, huh?
We do. We do.
I think Mr. Tommy
When
said
he-
that
when he
senator's
comes in-
out of town, yeah.
When he comes
He's in
in,
DC.
I can assure you, I'm gonna have him come and meet with at least.
Won't you come to the microphone, Mr. Tommy, so we can record
I'm sure
what
he'll
you're
be
saying?
again.
Tell us who
When he,
you are.
when he does come in, I'll make sure that, he knows who you, about the committee and about the master plan, and hopefully he can come and maybe, say hello, and speak to y'all on that occasion. Sometimes, like next month at the Livingston Republican Women's meeting on the 6th, the Chief of Staff's gonna be in town, so if you go to that, David Stokes, so he knows, he works as hard.
For Livingston Parish, that's
Yes,
right.
that's the boss sometimes, so, but he can probably answer a lot of questions too at that time.
Yeah. There was something in the second meeting, you weren't there, we actually brought the ordinance particulars before she put it in ordinance form, exactly what's in the ordinance about the setbacks on the side and rear and front and so forth and why. And we met with Deputy Secretary,
Eric Calabo.
Mr. Eric Calabota, and Miss Connie Best Porter was there also, and he was okay with this ordinance, and he said that there was no state ordinance no parish ordinance out there anywhere in the state that they were aware of doing what we're doing in this ordinance.
Right.
And he said if we're successful in Livingston Parish, then they could use this ordinance as the template for the whole state of Louisiana, all other 63 parishes. So hopefully we can get this done and make a difference. And you know, it's saving millions of dollars in Livingston Parish by not building so close to the highway.
Right.
Millions, and then statewide, hundreds of millions.
Right.
DOTD money.
Well, each parish is different. They're unique in their own way, and it costs money to build roads. I told you one time that when they built Perkins Road, the last extension on Perkins Road, it cost more for the right of way than it did to build a road. And that's becoming the norm now, rather than the exception. So those are the things that, you know, years ago when everybody wanted a road and a new road, and they didn't have when they were just starting out, everybody gave the right of way, but now it doesn't work that way. So it becomes between moving utilities and buying right of ways and doing those type things, it really is an expensive endeavor. So, you know, whatever you can do to minimize the cost, sometimes you can get more bang for your buck. So, but like I said, each parish it is different. Some parishes have sewer. They don't need as much right of way because they don't have the open ditches. When you have the open ditches, you need more right of way to make it safer. So like I said, it's gonna be up to the council to decide which way they wanna look at this thing, but, anytime the more money you save, the more road you can build. So,
Well, and I want to say too, interject, that Mr. Tommy's been at this a long time.
Yep, yep.
He is, was with DOTD as, for a number of years as a liaison between the elected officials and DOTD. And then he also was parish president in Ascension Parish for many years. So he knows roads.
roads is always gonna be there, and the roads are always, the more you build, the more you're gonna need, so, it's just the way it is. When you're growing like y'all are growing, and other parishes around you are growing, it's, you just gotta try and keep up with your infrastructure, and, plan ahead. That's the most important thing of any parish, is to plan ahead and make sure you got the right things in place, so when you do grow, you can grow orderly and you can grow productively to where you're ready to take on.
With our council and our leadership in Livingston Parish, we feel real good that they are really, and all the parishes are having to, really do things a little different, like you say, than we used to. But they are, they understand the need, I think, for this type of moving forward. How we're going to have the best for our parishes by putting in place ordinances that work for being able to expand.
I can remember 30 years ago, none of the parishes around here had building codes, and none of them had zoning, none of them had different things, and you got to have an orderly growth. They're living documents that can be changed at any time, but to have them in place is a resource for you. So, but which way the council goes,
in the meeting, you had mentioned about Perkins Road before we went to see Mr. Eric Calavotti, and he brought that up. He echoed what you said about how many miles was that on Perkins Road? Do you remember?
It wasn't much, but it was like, it cost, I think it was, the construction cost was 25 million, and the real estate and acquisition was 30 million.
Well, it was 30 million to buy the right-of-way acquisition and buildings, and 25 million to build a road.
That's right.
So, but how many miles was that? Do you know?
It wasn't much, probably 3 mile section.
3 or 4 miles?
3 or 4 miles at the most, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I
But
can
they
tell
have
you,
sewer to move, they have underground utilities, they have things like that. So when you start dealing with moving sewer and moving underground utilities, and you got all these businesses in front, the gas companies and everything else to move. So it's like right now with the Comite Diversion Canal, it's a lot going on. It keeps getting pushed back because of things like that happening, not having right of way on pipelines and having to deal with it. And actually there's one right now, Florida Atlantic, that's gonna set that project back a year because of what's happening.
I had done some research about 3 or 4 months ago on Florida Boulevard from Dillon Springs past the landfill and Walker, distance of about 6 miles. And I come up with about 35 buildings inside that 30 foot. That we're trying to get a buffer zone on. And I was talking to Mr. Tracy Gerler in the house about that, and you're talking close to $15 million just to relocate the buildings.
Right.
And when we met with Mr. Sean Wilson, they done on from Hatchell Lane to Juban, they done another feasibility study that stretch there was 1 point something miles with 14.8 million.
Right.
So we took that by the mile and added it, and so to go to the landfill and Walker, we need around 64 million. So if that's pretty close, then you're talking 15 out of 64. That's 25% just on buildings. That's not including the right-of-way itself.
And you got a lot of environmental too. If they had any service stations, anything underground tanks that you have to dig up, that goes through it. Then you have to go through a historical study for if there's any historic buildings, graveyards, things like that. So it's a lot that goes into building a road. And but if you start early enough,
There's
And
something.
stay at it. And stay at it, huh?
We cut the ribbon on the road last week on Highway 42 in Ascension Parish, which started back in the 90s when I actually was
Wow.
parish president. I went to Washington and started that ball like
Wow.
y'all doing here. And 27 years and I think about 6 months to the day, and the road was finally completed. So 27 years, 6 months.
27.
So,
Well, you
but
know,
just be patient and work hard
Well,
and work with the council and let them know what's going on, and you know, they're going to be a big part of this. So,
Gerald has a saying sometimes. He said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but they worked on it every day.
yeah,
My
and
little daughter-in-law told my son that. She was on his case about getting something done, and he made that statement. Get her off of his back.
it's easy to overlay a road, but when you start,
You know,
Yeah.
Mr. Tommy,
capacity.
we're talking basically about 2-lane roads widening to 4 lanes like Florida Boulevard and the other 14 road projects on our list. But you know, I was going down Highway 16 to Watson a few times, and I'm looking at the traffic between 4 and 5 in the evening. It's wall to wall.
Right.
And they got a community sewer system up there that really is phenomenal on growth. And we're talking about 3-lane, 4-lane roads too. We're not just talking about 2-lane. So that road is the only north-south road in the western side of the parish.
Right.
So they gotta come down it, unless they go across the Greenwood Spring. But if they go into the interstate, they got to come down Highway 16 to Denham, right through the Antique District. And I don't know how they're gonna do that, but unless they go down River Road with a new half interchange at 4H Club Road, which would be good. But so it isn't just 2-lane roads, it's 4-lane roads too that probably will have to be widened, and that one there.
Right. Well, for safety reasons, like I said,
But we
now,
thank you for all you do.
just thank y'all, and
Appreciate
good
you.
luck, and I hope it
Appreciate
all
you
goes
coming.
well, and I'll make sure I tell Senator
Hey,
Kennedy.
we still waiting on that
appreciate
phone
it.
call.
We hopefully look.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
One of the things that I sent out on the text today, late today, was the discussion was on the new business. Phenomenal growth in Livingston Parish over the last 20 years. Our parish, according to the last census, grew 55% in this parish, and now we're up to 140. Well, actually, at the end of 2020, we were at 142,000, but we've had a little over a year's growth, and I can tell you the growth is phenomenal south of the interstate, and we're way over 142,000 people now. And the infrastructure in Livingston Parish has just not kept up, and that's roads and sewer, well, primarily roads. Since the Jubilee interchange was, what was that, 2003, Julie? We had that one, that was built by 2003, 20 years ago, right at it. And one little 2-mile stretch of widening Highway 16 to Watson, that is it in the last 20 years. So we haven't kept up with the infrastructure in Livingston Parish. So what we're doing is trying to find ways to widen roads and build new roads. The new highway, of course, is Cook Road, and I understand that contract has been let. I don't know. Has anybody been there? Is they working on it? Does anybody know? I hadn't been that way lately. But they'll be working on it shortly.
Close.
Huh?
We heard it was close.
Yeah. The other one is Cuban Extension. I talked to Representative Buddy Minchin and Senator Pope in the last week, and the legislature started today. They're going to ask for $1 million plus to put back on Cuban Extension for right-of-way acquisition and so forth. So that's moving on. There's been some ordinances introduced before the Parish Ordinance Committee in the last couple of weeks trying to slow down the phenomenal growth in the parish, and mostly the large subdivisions. And there is so many of them. And in the last 30 days, I rode down all state roads in Livingston Parish. And well, Melba would drive and I would take my pad, and I was looking for spec houses and whatever built close to the road. And if y'all have never done that, y'all need to do that. They have roads in this parish. I didn't know there were state roads, like 1037 in Springfield, and Bend Road, and all them roads. I went down every one of them. I was looking as you was driving, and I was recording the spec houses built really primarily with no turnaround in the driveway. Y'all need to do that.
Need my bus, but I'll go.
We'll carpool, that's
Yeah,
right.
with gas
Because of
prices.
gas
I was about to
prices.
say, I was about to ask him if you needed a loan for all that fuel you had to pay for.
Mr. Kenny just volunteered his bus to ride down that road.
But he didn't say it was gonna have gas in it.
If I could, I would. I've done
We got a bite of gas?
Yeah, I've done Livingston Parish.
Well, I don't know.
With
You
the Parish
probably
Commission,
got a big tank on that bus, huh?
200 gallon,
Um,
$800.
$800 to fill it up.
Anyway, the parish council is wrestling with, trying to slow down the growth in the parish until we can get zoning maps, made and get that in order. And there's been talk of, a moratorium on building in the parish, and I don't think that's a bad idea, really. I thought they were going in that direction, and they might, I don't know, on moratorium on building. Ascension Parish has a moratorium, don't they, right now?
Yeah, it's about to expire in
Was that a 6-month moratorium?
6 months, yes, sir. No, it went to 9 months.
9 months? What's the longest they can go on moratoriums?
You can go 12 and renew it another 12, I think.
12 months?
I'm not quite up to date on it. When we were passing our zoning ordinance.
Yeah, but not indefinitely. You can't do that indefinitely.
You gotta have a reason.
So I don't know which route they're gonna go, but you know, one of the things that I see up on 1019 and Peach Highway is they're building houses on these giant anthills, you know? I mean, they're up in the air, all over the place, you know, in flood zones. And that always jumped out at me, you know? And when you see that, but
Mr. Gerald, Mr. Tommy was gonna say something about when they were working on their zoning ordinances. Can you finish that thought? What were you saying?
Yeah, we put a 6-month moratorium in,
Did you?
and,
To get your ordinances in place? Is that was the purpose of
That was the
it?
reason we used for the moratorium.
Right. Have they done that with this time?
This one, they did a 9-month, and I think now you can maybe renew up more, but as long as you have a reason, and like they can use roads and drainage and stuff like that.
Do you know if Ascension Parish has been updating their ordinances in this 9-month time frame?
They have, and they had a lot of ordinances already on the books, but, you know, it's actually, it's just hard, when the planning commission approves a subdivision, it's hard to go back, you know, when they follow in all the
Right.
rules. I saw some discussion on that here, but it makes it tough. So you gotta catch it at that stage.
Right. Well, thank you.
Later, you know.
there was a younger gentleman here earlier. He left, and he come to just tell me something. East Baton Rouge Parish, he says, has an ordinance on widening buffer setbacks. 70 foot from the center line of a state highway. I think maybe even parish roads or city streets. Or 30 feet, whichever is greater, from the right of way, 30 feet from the edge of the right of way, whichever is greater. So that's what we're doing, really. So it kind of mirrors what they're doing. I said, we're not gonna go back and change it now, but I mean, basically we're doing the same thing. Am I right?
Well, and interestingly, you made the statement also that the precedent had been set previously in our parish with setbacks on mining or,
There's three areas. Mining is 100 feet from any public road,
Ponds.
and ponds are 30 feet. And the telecommunication towers are the height of the tower plus 30 feet, and against any road or any building, residential or commercial building. That is really a good ordinance there, because that's a safety issue and we had a discussion last month in the planning commission about that. The people giving the land or selling the land to the telecommunication tower company waive their right to have the height of the tower plus 30 feet. So if that tower fell, it would fall. It would fall on their house. But I made the motion to amend the motion. I made the motion to amend the motion to have that for 24 months, period. After that, they had to do something else to get a shorter tower or something. But the landowner waived their rights, and I'd never seen that happen before. But there is an ordinance there. So there's three precedents already set on buffer zones against parish roads.
Gerald, on that point, when I was on the planning commission, AT&T came to us and said they had a tower that would fall within 100 foot.
Collapsing.
Yeah. Whatever become of that?
Well, this wasn't a collapsible tower.
No, but I'm saying, what happened to that? Was that approved or was that not approved?
I assume it was, if it's a collapsible tower. I don't know.
Remember,
I don't know of any of them that we've turned down.
yeah.
Nor
I know
the
there's
parish.
some discussion on it that particular night that didn't.
Well, Miss Judy's point was that the precedent has been set. You've already done it 3 times in this parish. So that precedent's been set. There's something that I saw in this last ordinance that was introduced. I saw the word on dry detention, on detention ponds. You got wet cells and dry cells, but I've always advocated that you have dry detention. Now, Julie's brought up several times about the gravel pits along the Emmett River that connect to the Emmett River. The channels can be cut to them to create dry detention. So I kind of like that idea. If the parish would move to that, I mean, I think that's a great idea, that you developers can go up, or dirt pit owners can go up in the tributaries north, canals and ditches and so forth, and dig their mining operations for dirt and have a ditch over to that particular creek or ditch. And so it would be dry, and when the creek comes up, the water flows into dry detention, and when the creek goes down, the water flows back. East Baton Rouge Parish is doing that too. Last year there was a long article in the paper about the old Sherwood Country Club. I think that Jones Creek run right through there? I think it was Jones Creek. They were gonna take 65 acres and dig it out 14 feet deep for dry detention. It's part of their drainage plan. So I think that's a great idea for this parish. And I know Mr. Tommy Fontenot was pushing for that on West Coyell on that big development, Juban Trails between I-12 and Buddy Ellis Road, before he died. And he was pushing for that and getting the Corps' approval for that. I don't know whatever happened on it, but that was a great idea. So I thought that was a good thing in that ordinance. I bring you up to speed. I have a couple more things, really. Juban widening project from Juban Crossing to Florida, that project to Florida might be finished before the end of the year, maybe. They about through with subsurface drainage. But the roundabout at Florida, I was told today that the contractor is refusing to build it because it's been too long and he can't make any money. So he's bailed out, and so his bonding company is taking it over, and they're gonna hire their own contractor. Now, the state's demanding that the bonding company do that, and I've
So
told
it's
that
not going
today.
back out for bid.
Huh?
It's not gonna go back out for bid. They're gonna,
Well, I
stand
went, the
behind the
bonding
bid.
company, well, I don't know how that works. The
Sounds
bonding
like they're gonna
company
stand behind
might,
the
the
bid.
bonding company gotta hire somebody.
Yeah.
Then it might go back out for bid, I don't know. So it's gonna be strange if they finish Juban to Florida and not do the roundabout, we're back to square one until the roundabout's finished, or maybe they'll tie them in together with the same contractor doing Juban widening. I don't know. Well, I don't really have anything else on new business, so. About you folks?
Oh, good.
Derek, I know you just got here, you got plenty of ideas, come on.
I know, I'd like that hour and 10 minutes in traffic I was sitting in, trying to fix
On
that.
Florida Boulevard or
We can
where?
fix the interstate.
Oh, man, it's tough.
It's East Baton Rouge problems though, it's not our problem, so.
Well, I can assure you, Secretary Wilson knows about that. He's working on it. He believes in interstates.
Yeah.
He wants people moving on those
Let
interstates.
me say, if we're successful in getting this ordinance on setbacks passed, then we're going to Denham Springs and Walker and Livingston and Albany and try to get them to enact the same ordinance. 'Cause if y'all go through Albany, I counted 35 myself in about a mile and a half. I don't know how in the world they'd ever widen that road in Albany. I know when Miss Eileen McCarroll was on this committee, she was adamant in moving it up. Am I right? Yeah, she did. She wanted to move it up to what, number 2 or 3?
Well, because all the schools and the school
Yeah,
traffic gets
the
holding it
school.
up and,
It's horrible. It's
yeah,
horrible.
it's bad.
So how in the world, you talking millions of dollars? Go through Albany and start looking, and like Ernie's Sandwich Shop and the Mac Law Firm, they are, I mean, all those, they're right there on the sidewalk. And go north across the tracks and you see all them houses in that subdivision, they're right on the road. They built the houses right on the road. Oh.
Well, we can't go back. We can't change history.
Well, you
We
can't
just
do
gotta
anything
go
about what's
forward.
there,
Right.
but if we can convince them to create ordinances in their
Moving
cities to mirror what the parish is doing here, it'll save millions and millions of dollars in buying buildings and put that money on roads. So we can't just stop the bleeding. That's about all you can do.
All right, well, Gerald, I want to say thank you for everything that you've done moving this forward. I wasn't able to make the ordinance committee meetings or the council meeting, but I appreciate your representing us there and all the work that's going on to get this done for the people of this parish. And I think moving forward, this will be helpful in the long run.
Well, thank you. I do want to say, on the 24th at 6 o'clock, all of y'all, I invite y'all to come and just sit down and let the council see who you are and see the committee. As many as y'all can come, and I don't know, you might get the opportunity to speak. If you do want to do that, that's fine too. But I invite all of you to come. And
All right, well, how about a motion to adjourn?
well, let's wait. I got one more now.
Second, did you have something to say?
It's always,
I got one
You
more
said you
thing.
had 2, and I heard 2 other things.
Well, I have 3.
Okay.
Mr. Derek Babcock, I hear you got a new job at the Republican State Committee, Central Committee, right?
I did, yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, I'm secretary of the state LAGOP now.
Wow,
So
that's awesome.
it's just getting in the role, so, you know, we had our first executive committee meeting a few weeks back, so, just getting acclimated, but so far so good, and, you know, it's, hopefully I can, you know, kind of gives me a little extra, maybe platform to try to help do some things here, and, so, you know, whatever I can do to help, for
Well,
sure.
congratulations.
Am I right, are we the first parish to do this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so,
That came up in our meeting with, the second meeting with Deputy Assistant Eric Calavola.
yeah,
And there's no other parish that has that ordinance. And he made the comment that if this parish, if it passes in Livingston Parish, they could use it for a template for the rest of the state.
yeah, yeah.
That'd be
Well,
awesome,
I
wouldn't it?
appreciate too, you know, what you've done here. This
That'd
is
be
good.
awesome. A little old
Yeah.
big committee in Livingston Parish, start something great.
There you go.
Charles, I appreciate you too, but I don't like to tell you that too often.
You see his head, it's getting bigger and bigger, as we said.
Okay, it's time to adjourn. Oh, anybody, anything else? Any other new business, old business? Okay,
We had a
y'all
motion.
ready to adjourn?
Motion.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, thank you.
6:40.
How about that?
Look,